Hey guys, number 5. I jumped ahead a little bit here just to show you a little bit of pre-labeling, but you can see I numbered function number 1, I numbered function number 2, and I numbered function number 3. Function number 1 is a quadratic. It starts off at the origin, and we already have the rule for that. Y is equal to ax squared. It's right here. Y is equal to 0.75x squared. Sorry, a little bit of an eraser shaving there. The second rule, y is equal to some number. We don't have it. And the third rule, y is equal to ax plus b. We have the a, we're missing the b. The b is going to be way up off my graph paper here. The initial value of that line, if we imagine it, would leave here before we could read it off the y-axis. That's not the b. Be careful, that's the x-intercept. And that's the point that we're actually being asked to answer down at the bottom of the paper. So function number 1, function number 2, function number 3. Next up is take a look at these fields and see what we can get on the corner points. And you can see that I've identified the two critical points here, and we know the x value here is a 7. We don't know the y because the first function ends where x is 7, and the second function ends where x is 15. So we know that the first point here is 7, 15 over there for the x on the second critical point. So basically we've read all of this off the graph. We don't know the termination point here of the third function, but of course we know that that corresponds to point D right over here, which is what we're eventually going to have to solve. So we're going to use what we have. I have a complete first rule. And I have an x coordinate. So I can take that first rule, y is equal to 0.75x squared. And I know that the x value is a 7. So by substituting x is 7 into this equation, I'm going to find the corresponding y. Y is equal to 0.75 times 7 squared. Okay, well, 7 squared is 49, but just in case you don't believe me, 7 y to the x is 49. And then I'm going to have to times that by 0.75, and I get 36.75 for my y. So that means that this critical point up here, 36.75 for the y. Now I use the x component with the quadratic rule. Now I also know this point over here is also 36.75 because that line is flat across, the y's are the same, and which means I now found the second rule. Y is equal to 36.75 for function number 2. Function number 3, the last thing really to get is the b. And I don't have the b, but I do have the a, and I have a point now that I've been able to complete this critical point, and you can see how important the critical points are. I have an xy that I can substitute into the general rule of that line. The general rule of the line is y is equal to ax plus b, right? And you'll remember me doing it this way at the beginning of the year. I have an a, it's negative 2.25. They gave it to me. And I need the b. I don't know the b of the equation. I have an x and I have a y, which come from those coordinates up there, the 15 for the x and the 36.75 for the y. So I'm going to go ahead and solve for b. Y, 36.75, is equal to a, negative 2.25, x, which I said was 15, plus b. So I can simplify. 36.75 will equal 2.25 negative times 15 is equal to negative 33.75 plus b. Now I want the b all alone. I got this addition here of negative 33.75. I'm going to have to add, sorry, I'm going to have to add 33.75 to both sides of that equation. So 36.75 plus the 33.75. 36.75 plus 33.75. If my voice puts you to sleep, certainly that sneeze will wake you up. And that gives me 70.5. So there's the b. So I now have a complete equation here. I know that that b is 70.5. Why does that matter? Well, y is equal to negative 2.25x plus 70.5. And you got to remember what we're being asked. We're being asked for the x coordinate of point D. Now here's the thing that you got to remember. It's the tricky part with this question. Is that at that point, which is the intercept, we already know that the y is equal to 0. Any point along the x-axis, the y is always equal to 0. You can see it over here on that point as a reminder, but you need to remember it over here. And the reason you need to remember it is because you need to be able to substitute it into the equation over here, or else you won't be able to solve it. So if I put the 0 there, you can now solve for this x. 0 is equal to negative 2.25x plus 70.5. I'm going to subtract 70.5 from both sides. Which will leave me with that. And then I'm going to divide. And of course I'm going to divide by negative 2.25. So 70.5 negative divided by 2.25 negative. Don't forget the negatives. Give me a positive 31.3 repeating. So what that means is 31.3 repeating, 31 1/3, is the value of the x when the y is 0 according to the rule. It's all about getting the rule of the third function. It's all about getting that third function rule. So down at the bottom now, I can answer the question. 31.3 repeating, comma, 0 is the value of point D. One more to go.